You are listening to Spilling the Tea, a real estate podcast with Kristy and Shelagh Maycheck.
Hello everyone and welcome to Season 2 of Spilling the Tea. We are your hosts Kristy and Shelagh Maycheck.
Hello.
Today we have reoccurring guest agent knows his whiskey and wine, Clay Martin. And joining us again in the seat, our everyday man, Jeremy Pue.
Hello.
Today's episode is a fun episode where we're going to talk all about home renovation. Sometimes people buy brand new homes where there's basically nothing that they want done.
Mm-hmm. Turnkey.
And
Yeah.
some people move into homes that have a little more left to be desired. And there's always those descriptions, where it's like, ready for your elbow grease.
Yeah. Ready for
Right.
your ideas.
Yeah. Clean slate.
Yeah. Blank canvas. Yeah.
Bring your ideas.
Bring
Yeah.
your ideas.
And your wallet.
Yeah, basically. But you do sometimes get new construction where people move in, and even though it is like perfect by some standards, people will go, oh, well, I want to change that and that and that and that.
Mm-hmm.
So you never really know.
I think I married that lady.
You did? Oh, you did, didn't you? She cannot be pleased.
It's new, but also this.
Joanna, if you're listening, yeah. So basically today's conversation is all about homeowners when they're buying homes, what they're willing to update, when they should be calling a contractor. And the reason why we've got Clay in here today is that he has quite an extensive background in basic home mechanics and construction. And he did actually purchase a home that he did end up renovating. And if you can, I don't know if you can see these on the camera now, but I have in my hands here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have got 9 different business cards and accreditations for all the things that you have learned to do.
Your past lives.
Your past lives.
Yeah.
So Clay Martin is actually the most interesting man in the world, and I think the most capable man in the world. So I have here...
I still have all my fingers.
Yeah.
Yes. That in itself,
And
accomplishment.
all of his fingers. No eye patches here.
Yeah.
We've got HDPE pipe fusion technician.
Oh, sure.
We've got gas appliance service technician.
Yep.
Heating LTD.
Geothermal installers tickets. Geothermal designer tickets.
You've got BCIT Student Association Engineering Society chairperson.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah. Bachelor's degree in environmental engineering, diploma in civil structural engineering.
And we've got
Wow.
qualified.
Gas tight. Yeah. It's
What is that?
It's gas pipe, but a very specific one.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I went to school for English literature. If anyone wants to know about Beowulf or Chaucer, I am your girl. But if you
Have
want
a business diploma.
yeah, practical knowledge, you're going to be calling Clay.
Yes.
Okay. So you've got all these things, Clay, and I'm glad that you brought this in here because obviously with your real estate background as well, knowing some of these things is quite an asset. And we're going to get into this when we start talking to you about your story. Until we get there, we're going to start the way that we always do, and we're going to ask Shelagh some really crazy questions. Ready. Shelagh, have you ever attempted a home renovation project?
We did a home renovation, but under no circumstances was I doing that myself. So we hired a contractor to come in and do it. And it was our most recent house we just bought. The kitchen had already been done. The bathroom was already done. But you walk in and you stare at this really, really tall mantle. But it's all like, I'm trying to describe how it is. It's comes up to like your chest height, so you can't fit a TV above it on the ceiling.
It's like an art nook?
So there's like, yeah, it's like an art nook. And then the TV that they have is in the bottom left-hand side cubby. And there's a fireplace that's kind of the same shape-ish on the right-hand side. So it's like an off-center fireplace, a nook for a TV that's the size of my computer screen. Actually, I think it was a little bit smaller. I've got a curved.
Yeah, you got
I've got a sweet computer screen, man.
someone loves
So
her.
it's right there. And then it was just kind of like one tiny dim little pot light above the hearth or like the mantle. So we ripped that bad boy.
So this didn't line up with your letters.
No.
Like you wanted
It was so off-centered.
and then you decided, I'm not going to do this myself. I'm going to hire a contractor. And why was that?
We probably would have killed each other, like my husband and I. Like, so we have a hard enough time like picking a paint color or something like that. So it's nice to have somebody where we can be crazy and they can sort us out. And we can just be like, I'm not sure what to do here. And then they'll come and be like, here's what we've done before. And here's what goes well together.
It's
Here's
like
what
marriage,
I found with this.
marriage counseling
Yeah.
via contractor.
Hire out.
Fantastic.
Fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you discover anything when renovating your home that you didn't know when you bought the house?
Not when renovating, but when we bought the house, we had a home inspection the day we got keys, because it was a very hot market. So we got a home.
Interesting.
Yeah, we got a home inspection when we got keys. You actually went for us.
I did go.
Yeah, because we were under quarantine. I'm like, Kristy can do our home inspection. So you went the home inspector, and we just got a report after. And I was like, well, we already bought the place, so I'm not too concerned
Still a
about
good
anything.
idea.
Yeah, exactly. People are like, oh, what's the point in even doing one if you bought the house without one? And I'm like, well, I still wanted to know, because I don't know anything about the house other than like what I can see. So
Well, they can give you like a report card on the
Yeah.
home house health. I
yeah,
guess.
so they went into the crawl space and we found like some of the pipe fittings were a little bit corroded. So we're like, okay, we'll get those changed out sooner than later. But other than that, nothing crazy. And then the other thing that we renovated with the fireplace was we did the flooring on the main floor to level it out, because someone had redone the kitchen and they put like plywood and then tile on top of it. And then the little trim piece between that and the original laminate, it was so tall.
Right.
It was the Toe Crusher 3000.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Full trip hazard.
Yeah, and I found out wearing my glasses, or everything kind of below here is just a blur, and I would stub my toe on it at least 3 times a day.
Which is
Oh.
scary for you because
Yeah.
you're a trip hazard
Oh my God,
on
all the
flat
time.
ground.
Kristy has photo evidence of this. Yeah.
2 in one day.
2 in 1 day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've talked before about my house and how weird it was when I bought it and how weird the man was that lived in it. And there was these like half attempted renovation projects and crazy paint colors. But those things aside, I learned something about my house a few months ago. I've been in my house for like, I want to say it's coming up on like 10 years. And I was blow drying my hair. I went to plug it in and my blow dryer didn't work. Now I'm standing there, I've got wet hair, which all girls know you've got like a window of time that it works and doesn't work.
Yeah. That's either
Yeah.
going to turn out really great or rewashing my hair.
Yeah, or I'm rewashing my hair. So I was like, I've got no time for this.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I like rushed out, grabbed and I go around my whole upper floor and I'm trying all the outlets like in the bathrooms to see like, oh my gosh, like maybe it was just the outlet and I'm hitting the reset button that was in that bathroom, but it wasn't doing anything. Went downstairs, I checked the breaker. It was totally fine. I was like, what is going on? So I had to literally like run into my car with my wet hair, go down to Shoppers, buy the first hair dryer I found, went to the office, blow dried my hair because there was something happening that night, something important like a dinner or something like that. So anyways, then 2 months ago I was in my downstairs bathroom, the powder room on my main floor, and I plugged in my hair straightener and it didn't turn on, and I hit the reset button. And I was like, oh my God, I wonder if this is the reset for all of the bathrooms in the house. Mm-hmm. And it was. And I went back and said, so now I have 2 hair dryers. And I learned where the reset was in the house. I didn't know it was downstairs in that bathroom. So there was that. And I also learned where the cold water shutoff was this year. And thank goodness I did, because those temperatures when it was minus 20, whatever, because you got to drain your taps. Well, we always drained one and we were really hoping the other one wouldn't freeze. And this year we actually renovated our upstairs bathrooms and we uncovered another shutoff.
Oh, good.
Yes,
Oh,
so it's all
awesome.
labeled. It's good to go. So now we know where both shutoffs are, which is very important.
So a water shut off for an outside hose was in an upstairs bathroom.
Both of them are.
And
yeah.
they are.
Wow.
Yeah, they usually are.
So you shut it off there,
Yeah.
and then you can drain it, and it drains the whole pipe out.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a
So
reason.
there's
Yes.
methods to the madness, but I didn't even think it had a second one. I was like, it just doesn't have one.
Yeah.
Which
It's in
would
the
be
wall
impossible.
somewhere.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sheila, you had patio lights that were doing something weird that you just learned about.
Yeah. This Christmas, we had our Christmas lights installed on the front, and Neil made sure like all the lights are upright and arranged and evenly spaced. And then we have the Costco patio lights in the back of our house that I click on when I'm going out in the backyard to let the dog out. And then my back patio lights kept clicking off. And I was like, oh no, they finally kicked the bucket. And I'm plugging it into different plugs. Nothing will turn on. We had it in like one of those auto timers. So I unplugged that, and the smart timer, I'm like, maybe it's just this part that's faulty. Couldn't figure it out. And then eventually I walk around to the front of the house and I notice the Christmas lights are all off. I'm like, oh, okay, that's really strange. So I looked for a reset button in the backyard, thinking like it's my patio lights that have done it. No, there's no reset button. I'm like, oh shoot. So I finally go around to the front of the house, and there is the outlet that the Christmas ones are plugged into, and I hit reset, and then 10 minutes later, everything trips again. And so I repeat this for about 10 minutes. My poor little inflatable Santa, he's doing like an inflatable dance. I go up, and then he's down, and then he's up, and then he's down. He's looking pretty sad by the end of this. And so we just end up unplugging the Christmas lights, and then we didn't have a problem again. So it was that one outlet was tripping due to moisture, apparently, and not the back ones at all. So we unplugged the front, because it doesn't have like a proper cover on it.
It's north facing though, is it not?
Yeah.
That might be why.
Yeah, that was north facing. So we unplugged the Christmas lights, so we were a little less festive for the last few days. and then the back patio was fine.
And Santa was saved.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know that before you move into a place, you're gonna find some stuff. Like basically, like that's the way it goes. Because there was somebody who lived there before you, so it's not perfect. Because we both bought houses that people moved into.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to Jeremy first before we get into Clay. Jeremy, did you find any odd quirks in your home when you moved in?
Yes, we did. Well, actually, it took a little while. So when we bought, the market was really hot. So we had a very short window to submit an offer, and it was accepted. And then we had a long closing, but like very little time to like for inspections or anything. It was like subject free. Yeah. And so once we moved into the house, when we started to like move some things around, everything looked great aesthetically on the outside, but it was when, especially in the basement, we started to like cut into some walls and everything. We're like, I think the owner did a lot of this like electrical work himself. So it was nothing that you could like see.
The YouTube special.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Or worse.
Yeah.
or worse. And so it was kind of stuff like that. And then we've been able to, as we've done a bit of work, do some fixing on it. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Did you do any substantial renovations since you've lived in your home?
Yeah. So we tore out all of our flooring on our main level upstairs and completely renovated our kitchen, tore down a wall. We opened it all up. So we did
substantial.
We
That
did
is,
like
yeah.
an entire main floor
Wow.
renovation.
And was
Yeah.
it all you guys, or was it contractors, or a mix, or did you know a friend? Did Dad come over?
Yeah, so it wasn't Dad. A good friend of mine is very handy, and I have construction background. I actually love it, but I knew heading into it that I would not have the time
Right.
to do this. So I was like, I'll probably demo it all, and then nothing will happen for 3 weeks, kind of thing, and then my wife will leave me.
Yeah.
So,
There's no kitchen.
So I talked to Sherry, my wife, and I was like, I think we need some help with this. And so my friend Tim and I, we kind of like co-generaled it, but he was the guy that was really there on site to like make sure. I was away at work, so I was like, electrician's supposed to come today, and he'd be like, yep, they're here. So he helped us with all of that
that's
kind of
really
stuff.
good.
Yeah.
And then we shared like demo and everything, and yeah,
Demo's
so
the
we,
best
fun part.
it's the really good part. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I
awesome.
volunteer. I'll look after that. Don't you?
Yeah, totally.
Throws a toilet out the window. Yeah.
Clay, we have you on because I remember you posting something very interesting on Facebook regarding a renovation that you were doing. So while we get into the story, I'll start you off by asking, what kind of home were you renovating? What are you renovating right now?
We're almost done, oddly enough. We had a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1971 special. As original as it can be. There no updates ever. And
Was there wood paneling?
there not only was there wood paneling, but there was drywall with no mud and wood paneling on top of it.
What?
Oh.
Right, which we didn't know because I had it tested for asbestos, which we did find in some of the floor tiles,
Okay.
which we had dealt with. But there was none in the mud because there was no mud.
Right.
So the whole house was paneled,
Yeah.
and
Well,
we knew it was going to be a big reno. And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong here. I'm laughing a little bit because we knew we were biting off a lot.
Yeah.
Because it was a 1971 special. So today it's a 4-bedroom, 4-bath house.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
We're almost done. I picked up the mantle a week ago.
Okay.
Ooh, those
and
are like finishing touches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
I began this podcast talking about all of your technical background, and you said you were in civil engineering, and so you're a very mechanical kind of guy. How much of this renovation are you doing yourself versus hiring out for trades, given that you've got I think you said you owned an HVAC business?
Yeah.
And
So I did the refrigeration myself, which is the air conditioning.
which you're going to need in a hot location.
yeah.
Yeah.
Part of the funny part of the story is the original air conditioner that was in the house. So the original air conditioner was a window air conditioner, but it had been built into a wall. It's fairly normal.
Okay.
You see them in the old houses. Somebody just chainsawed a hole out.
Yeah.
Basically stuffed it in.
My mom's house has that.
Well, it was plugged
Yeah.
into a plug outside. And I felt uneasy. I plugged in that a couple times. It sparked and moved a little bit. And I thought, okay, well, I'll take the drywall off
spicy
the
plug.
inside
Yeah.
Yeah.
to just see. And as I'm pulling the drywall off, we hear spark,
Oh.
and there's a flame.
Oh.
Okay, this is my first thing I'm doing.
Oh, no.
Welcome to the house.
welcome to the house,
You've chosen correctly.
or incorrectly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get the piece of drywall off. I've got the bucket now beside me with a cloth, and I've thrown a cloth over, and the main breaker has tripped. And we're looking, and that box, I can see the back of it, has an extension cord. Now we're talking brown extension cord from a kitchen, 18 gauge, coming
Inside the wall.
up in the wall, and then twisted together with some tape
Oh, that's.
to another piece over to a light switch.
It's stressing me out.
Somebody's telling me this isn't. I'm not an electrician, but this isn't right, right?
Okay, so this
I
is
feel
strike-
stressed.
This is strike one, right? Strike one. Strike two. I'm okay. Well, we wanna renovate, but I have to move a washer and dryer so that we can get a renter for the winter, because the winter's coming, and driving the
Yeah.
highway to get up there. So I got to move this washer and dryer upstairs, and I plug it in the washing machine. The dryer was a hole straight out the wall, so that was easy.
Okay.
I plug the washing machine in, and the whole box goes boom, and it's burning.
So there's a
Okay.
few electrical issues
So
in the house.
this is all in 3 days.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm pulling things down and
Yeah.
looking. And at that point, my wife says to me, "That's enough. All the electrical's coming out."
Okay.
Yeah.
So all the electrical's coming out because you don't let the boss down.
Yeah.
And house fires.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was stressful. I actually, for the first year, I was so scared. So we did hire a contractor.
Right.
And here's where strike three comes in. So when I hired a contractor who happens to be the neighbor, who happens to be the fire chief, who I've talked about in another episode, or the assistant fire chief, he's an electrician and a very competent one, 4 or 5 employees, and good local guy. And he lives right next door. So
Convenient.
right.
Yeah.
So I hire him. I say, okay, I need some help. He says, the first thing we got to do is bring in a new service from the road, because obviously everything is muddled. We'll bring a new service in, and we'll start from there.
That's not cheap.
No, that was a couple grand.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, but necessary, because I want to put in another air conditioner for a
Right.
cellar. I want to put in
Upgrade the electrical system overall.
all the things. I
Yeah.
want to pull all the electrical out. Well, strike three, they're literally pulling the new one in, pull the old electrical box off, and an inspection flyer slips out with a great big failed.
Oh, no.
Gosh.
The electrical system in this house, 50 years it's been standing, never passed. So I had it searched in the Osoyoos Town records. It had never passed. They just forgot about it, and everybody moved in, and the same
my
owner that we
gosh.
bought it from is the original owner, and they just lived there and dealt with.
And they
it
never
failed
had
when
a.
it was brand new.
It failed when it was brand new.
Oh, my goodness. Well, sometimes you can't
That
get
was strike
trades. And you can't get trades in smaller places.
No one saw the flyer. It just disappeared.
Well,
Shoved behind the
Yeah.
box.
Yeah.
every box we opened up, plug or anything, the wires were twisted together and taped. No morettes, no. Like
Man.
every one. And at this point, I'm terrified because
Yeah.
we're shaking walls and we're pulling drywall
yeah.
off and we're doing things.
You'd
Holding
want
your breath
to. You'd
if you
want to
plug in.
strip
Holding
it.
your breath,
Yeah. You're
right?
like,
Yeah.
So we, I hired a contractor
Right.
for that. The other jobs in the house that I hired contractors for, drywall.
Oh, drywalling is so
Yeah.
hard and so dirty and so messy.
It's
And,
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Always
heavy.
set up
Yeah.
drywall.
oh, yeah.
I'm getting too old
No,
for
no.
that. We re-drywalled the whole ceiling, so I let the electricians go nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And cut holes everywhere they wanted.
I bet they loved that.
They
Like,
did.
Yes.
They did.
Yeah.
I laid it all out though, and then an ex-employee and I did the new furnace system and the venting and all those things. I put in a dual zone heating system, one for the basement, one for the upstairs.
Smart.
38 degrees outside one day, 28 degrees upstairs, and 18 degrees in the basement.
Ooh.
Good luck walking from the basement outside and back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like shell shock.
Right.
going
Yeah.
between them. I hired a plumber for one day to come in and tell me what I needed to do to get a new stack in,
Yeah.
although we did the work. But I'll tell you, the very first thing we did is I called the town hall and I asked for the inspector, who it turns out I knew from a previous life, who used to work in Coquitlam, and I asked him to come over. And so we pulled a permit for the renovation we were doing,
Yep.
and I asked him to come over, and we walked that house for 3 hours.
Oh.
And I went through everything, and I kept notes, and that's why I was more comfortable doing most of the work.
Right.
There's some tricks of the trade that you need to know, like the plumber. He told me to do some things that I didn't really know. So
Did you Google?
you try, but it's better to call someone who's in the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just curious.
100%.
It's like, sometimes
Yeah.
we Google, but
Yeah.
we do very low level stuff. But
Yeah. I mean,
surface things.
Johanna ran the wires. I wired up the minor boxes. I had the electrician come in and do the hook up to the panel.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he pulled the permit for the whole thing because he looked it all over and he didn't change anything, which was good. Did all the plumbing myself, other than the one day of getting the plumber in. Again, we did the refrigeration ourselves and the heating ourselves, although that was permitted as well. We pull a permit for everything. There's a fine line between doing it yourself and not pulling a permit. In British Columbia, you can do your own electrical work, you can do your own gas work, but you must pull a homeowner's permit.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it 100% inspected. I actually don't mind the inspector coming through.
Yeah.
Because if I've made a mistake, I want to know.
Yeah.
Oh, especially with
Totally.
gas and electrical.
Yeah.
Well, I had a gas business, so I know what I'm
Right.
doing.
Yeah, I
My-
saw your
my
gas.
cards are-
Sparky
Yeah.
walls.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sparky
Yeah.
walls,
Yeah.
right?
And gas and electricity, they don't mix.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, they do really well.
Yeah.
Once.
One time.
One time.
Yeah.
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 That's
And
funny.
then we've done all our own flooring. We've done.
So you did the finishing work as well. So you got the mechanical stuff done, and then you
Yeah.
did the finishing work. Was there any part of that that you do you hate, that you're like, I will never paint another wall in my life?
The tiling.
Tile.
I don't like tiling.
finicky.
Same
We
here.
built.
Yeah.
My wife gave me a picture. She's like, I want a bathtub here, and I want an 8-foot shower, and it's going to be the whole back half of this room, and it's all going to be tile. And okay, so a 1971 house, it's not built from scratch. It's built like this.
Yeah.
And the walls are like this.
Yeah.
And so I had to literally reframe the room
Yeah.
in square
Yeah.
because I'm doing 1 foot by 2 foot tiles.
Yeah.
And if you're out by a 1/4 inch,
It's
you'll
a
see
lot.
it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to reframe the whole room, which was a little frustrating. And then once I'm frustrated,
She
now
wanted
I've
all
got
tiles, she said.
Yeah. I love you. I love you. I love
Yeah. She's a hell of a cook, so it's good.
you. We'll keep her.
But I wouldn't do tile again. I'll hire that out.
I didn't realize how complicated tile was until I had my upstairs bathroom redone and the walls were out. And it was 1 foot by 2 foot, and the guy, he had to rejig the room. And I just, and they're so, you want the guy that's crazy about how straight the tile is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if the tile's out, that's the first thing I notice
Yeah.
in a house,
Totally.
if the tile is out.
Totally.
So I understand that. And that's something that we always tell people, don't do your own tile work unless you really know what you're doing, because we can notice almost right away if it's not done right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
why we built the room within a room.
Yeah, I
so
bet.
it turns out the walls are all 2x4, and now the door is actually a 2x6 door that went in there because I actually had to frame it that much to get it
Holy.
all
Wow.
square. Yeah.
now, knowing that this home was occupied prior to you living in it, there's always things that you find that are personal items or hidden items that, I had shells in a toilet. There was a my husband he was like, this toilet's not quite flushing properly, so him and my dad ripped it off and
That doesn't quite go there.
tried to go through it, and there was shells, seashells in the toilet.
In the toilet.
Yeah, so probably maybe they had a kid or something.
Under the sea.
I don't know, under the pea trap. But yeah, so couldn't, and then they figured out that there was seashells because the home had been lived in before. Okay, so things
Right.
happen. So Clay, did you find any kind of surprise or anything in the home?
Well, you can imagine a 50-year-old home, there's going to be a few surprises. The biggest one was that they had cut a beam that was supposed to be there, that the stairs were held up by a 2x4. You know, there's beautiful surprises.
Jeremy, how did that make you feel?
Very stressed out. Yeah.
Yeah, it now has 3 steel support
I
beams
feel
and
better.
all kinds of. Yeah, I put in
High
all
anxiety
kinds of-
episode for
Yeah.
Jeremy
Yeah.
tonight.
It we had the whole thing ripped apart. We actually hired all the teenage kids to come up one time. We said, you can come up for free, you can come stay, but you got to work 2 hours a day. Well, 6 of those 20-year-olds can really tear the crap out of a place. They
Oh,
just
yeah.
destroyed
Yeah.
it. It was beautiful.
They got
Yeah.
energy.
So you ask about hidden things. The first thing we found was a empty cigarette pack of Export A.
And where was
wa-
this?
Yeah, where
It
was
was in a rafter, like in.
Oh,
it? Oh, like someone's hiding their cigarettes?
Well,
Like,
it was empty. Unfortunately,
Oh.
there was no cigarettes in it, but the package was there, and it had been placed, you know, on a header. It had definitely been placed there. It wasn't
Right.
left there.
so it wasn't full of like gold coins
No.
or like,
Yeah.
oh, shoot.
I wish. It got worse. So the house had been smoked in for 50 years, and because of that, we were pulling all the drywall out,
I
even though
bet.
it didn't have
Right.
any asbestos in it.
yeah.
But it just stunk.
Yeah.
So every time we pulled everything out, we took all the doors out. You know, they were all wood doors, so you get them wet,
Yeah.
and they smell like a smoking dog. Is what they smell like.
Yeah.
So we're
A
getting down
smoking
to
dog.
I'm picturing
right.
it.
Think
Yeah,
of
that is such
Yeah.
a good descriptor.
Yeah.
That's
Sorry.
what it smelled like. It
Sorry
was
for
horrible.
interrupting.
It's okay. So we get to the basement. We're in the final last 2 walls to take the drywall off because the old house, there's no vapor barrier. And the insulation is suspect, and I want to put some plugs in the wall. So off comes all the drywall,
Yeah.
and you know we're now wiring the basement. For a year and a half, we can smell smoke, cigarette smoke, and I mean there's no drywall left. I've sprayed all the 2x4s. I've used, there's a smoke cover paint you can
Like
spray on
kills
it.
or whatever.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it comes in a spray can.
Oh,
And
okay.
we literally got the sprayer out, and I did all the floor.
Yeah.
We sealed this place. Still cigarettes. And one day I pop off this, right beside the furnace room, and I pop this wall off, and literally there's an ashtray of cigarette butts in this wall joist. Couldn't be bigger than a foot wide, and it's that deep.
Oh no.
And it's all cigarette butts and cigarette packages, and they've been throwing them there during the entire construction of the house, it looked like.
Oh my god.
Right by the furnace.
Right in the furnace.
It had no chance.
They didn't have a chance.
No,
Yeah.
it was literally it was an outside wall, so I didn't want to pull it off till this spring. When
Yeah.
we did the spring, and I wanted to spray foam the wall and everything. And luckily, the spray foam seals up beautifully, so it's all encased and encapsulated now. But how gross!
Forever.
Yeah.
These 50-year-old, and they were brands, and all the cigarette packs were there too. And I took a picture of it, and they're brands that are long gone.
Right.
But the exports were still there, and there was Craven A and a couple of Sportsman. You guys are too young for this.
I used to, when I worked at a grocery store,
Did you?
Yeah.
Sell those?
yeah, we did. Before now they cover them up and you can't even see the
Right,
brands and the
of course.
logos, but yeah, we had those all the time.
Yeah. That was the worst. That was the worst thing that we found. That was a trap. You know, like.
Yeah.
And it was obviously the guys building the place had used it because.
Right.
It's
And they literally just threw them in.
It's
Now you have
so
to think about that.
careless.
They were not just stamped out. Some of them were stamped out, but a lot of them, you could tell they were just thrown in the hole.
wow.
Like
My god.
Why? Why?
Is that wild?
it's
Yeah.
just crazy. You know,
That is crazy. Okay, so that was
That's
that the only
unkind.
thing that you?
that was the worst.
Oh, that was the worst.
That was the worst.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah, I found a hammer. You know, yay, new hammer.
In the walls.
New
Where did
50-year-old.
Where did
hammer.
you find the hammer?
On top of a air duct,
Oh,
just sitting there. Somebody, I'm sure, walked through that house 5 times looking for their
Yeah.
hammer
For their hammer and couldn't find it.
and never
Yeah.
found it.
Yeah.
We found, at one point, a spray painted wall, which had been, somebody had written their initials on the wall and with a little heart or something and then spray painted over it. So we found that. We couldn't read the initials. I tried. Somebody, I don't know,
So-
some kids or.
and so this kind of brings us to our next kind of
Yes.
little topic here, because have you ever seen photos online where there's like a picture of a couple and it's a Polaroid and they've written on it like, we renovated this bathroom in 2004. you must be renovating. Why don't you like our choices? Or,
Yeah.
you know?
Tape
Yeah.
it in the drywall.
Yeah, they like put it
Yeah.
on the inside of the wall for the next person to find.
Yes.
There's that, and then there's also people who put fake skeletons underneath their patio decks,
That's really mean.
and like.
Yeah,
So like you're
that
like
one is mean,
you pry
actually.
one up and there's like a skeleton underneath, or I've seen one where it looks like a construction worker and they like put a belt on it and like a jacket and they shove them in the island, like you know, like a construction island. So if somebody ever were to demo that island and they take it off, they would find like a fake construction worker skeleton.
So rude.
It's so
Oh my
rude.
gosh.
But it makes you wonder because sometimes people put weird things in attics and like.
Yeah.
But those are obviously the practical jokes.
I like the notes left behind, like little time capsules, like where someone's
Yes.
intentionally put something there for you to find later.
Yeah.
Obviously not cigarettes or anything, but something fun. You know, like a photo and here's what we did with the house.
You could leave one cigarette. Saved one for you.
Think of me,
Yeah.
Jeremy.
I'm hoping by the time that somebody re-renos this place, cigarettes won't know what those are.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremy, would you ever leave something behind in a house for another owner to find?
100%. I absolutely would. And I would like get my kids in on it.
Yeah.
Be like, someday someone's going to tear this house down and we want to leave something for them. I think it would be a blast.
I like that. And
Yeah.
then Clay, are you keeping the traditions alive?
We did write a note
Oh.
behind the basement bathroom wall on the concrete.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, so we spray foamed it all,
Yeah.
and then pushed a board into it, and
Yeah.
Johanna wrote a little note that said, we were here and what year it is, and
Nice.
And
Yeah,
we
that's-
did not
that's
smoke
cool.
in the house.
Yeah. if
That's
you find the export days, they're not ours.
Yeah.
you've never really renovated angrily until you've renovated a house that smells like smoke.
yeah.
We will do another episode in the future about smells in houses and
Yeah.
how people don't understand how horrible it is. And it's all kinds of smells, cigarettes being one of those topics.
Yep.
But that can be a really tricky one and so frustrating to try to renovate out. Even like screens on houses, like the wind comes through and it just blows the smell back through the house.
Well, especially when you've done so many other things in the house and you're like, I still smell it. Is it me?
That was it.
Like,
Yeah,
am I
I know
just
you're smelling
imagining
your
it?
own
It's just
clothes.
in your
Yeah.
nose.
You're like, who is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we don't smoke. I mean, I think I smoked when I was a kid, but yeah, and the smell is distinct.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very
That's
distinct.
and it just would waft. I mean, I'd be laying in bed.
You're like, there's a
Damn it.
nicotine ghost in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the ghost of the person
Yeah.
who lived there prior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Jeremy, did you have any weird things that you found? Anything from the previous seller, like a time capsule element or?
Well, the one of the cool things, and I've left it all, is in our garage. From all the work he did on his own, he would draw his plans out on the walls of the garage.
Oh.
Very cool.
So I actually love that. So you can see like little things he was planning, and then you can like go and find them in the house.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So I really liked
It's like an
that.
adult scavenger hunt.
And yeah,
It's on the back of the drywall in our house. I have Sharpie marks all over backs of
Yeah.
drywall boards all over the place.
Someone's
Yeah,
gonna
use the
find those
drywall.
one day.
someone's
day.
gonna
Yeah.
find them one day. So I think that's kind
That's
of
really
fun.
neat.
And then we had a red wooden shed in our backyard, and we ended up tearing it down because we were putting a concrete pad in for a table out in our backyard. And so we got all the kids involved, and we got like sledgehammers, and we're knocking down the shed. And then I'm prying up the floor, and I had been watching like it was like a TV show about Hannibal Lecter. So it was like
Yeah,
kind of
go
in
on.
my head. Okay, so just to like preface it with that, I pulled the floor up, and underneath the shed, it looked like two graves. No. And Sherry comes out and she's like, "Is everything fine?" I'm like, "I don't think so. I think there's dead people back here." And I was like, "What do I do? Do I like stick the shovel in or what?"
I
was like,
poke
I don't even know what to do. So I eventually did like dig up a little bit, and they just like oddly mounded the dirt.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
so bizarre, and I wondered if they had done it on purpose.
Oh, man.
But that was like one of the weird things.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
You know,
With
I
your
know.
kids helping you, and you start to stop digging, kids. Stop digging.
No, so like
Walk
by
away.
the time it got to the floor, they were all kind of tired of it, and
Yeah.
I'm like prying the floor up, and I'm like, "That's weird."
Yeah.
And then I get all of the floor up, and I'm like,
Go
It
get your
really
mother.
looks like grapes.
Am I seeing
That's
what
odd.
Yeah.
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 I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, on a final note, if you ever end up renovating your own home, whether it be investment or your own, consider that someone may have already added their own ideas behind the drywall. You might find something you were not necessarily expecting. Everyone has different ideas and tastes, which as time goes on, it changes greatly. Especially if you're buying something super old, which, it could come back, all that paneling. You never know.
I hope not.
Yeah. But ultimately, there are budgets, there are renovations, there are contractors, there are people who do it themselves, there are people who like new construction, people who hate new construction. It just depends on what you want. Always make sure you have a little bit of contingency when you're buying these properties so that you can hire a professional for those jobs that really should be hired by a professional.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Unless you really know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
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 Or if you hate doing it, you
Yes,
know, do
totally.
not divorce your
Tiles.
spouse due to tile work.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. So, with that note, thank you guys so much for joining. Clay, very, very interesting resume.
Thank
And
you.
Jeremy, I'm glad they weren't graves.
Yeah.
Cheers,
Me
everyone.
too. Cheers, guys.
Thank you for listening to Spilling the Tea, a real estate podcast with Kristy Macero and Shelagh Maycheck.